Shalom, giving all glory, honor, and praises due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock of Israel. Shalom and salutations to you, Akim out here who are pushing the words of truth in sincerity. Shalom to all the Lord's elect Akim and Aqua, scattered Israelites and Israelite foreigners. Zabarat. This video is edifying, and I'm Rapah Math. And today, just going to go into a little more of the continuation of these thoughts, which, are brought about by the way of the precepts and the scriptures of the Holy Bible, which we read, which we believe in, and which we use to measure the times diligently, concerning itself, being that everything is set up in ages and history tends to repeat itself. This is a definite 100% concept straight from the scriptures, a reincarnation, if you will, concept from the scriptures, which reincarnation and regeneration are one and the same. There's also the word Anastasia in the Greek. Let me get that real quick. Acts 17. Acts 17. Paul talks at Mars Hill to the Epicureans and the Stoics and the men of Athens. And he goes on to talk about Anastasia in the Greek, which is the word for, bear with me, I'm looking it up now. Okay, resurrection. All right, Acts 17 and 32. And when they heard of the resurrection of the dead, some mocked and others said, we will hear thee again of this matter. The word resurrection in the Greek is anastasis. Anastasis, a raising up, a raising from the dead, that of Yahweh Shai, that of all men at the end of this present age. And then it says the resurrection of a certain ones in history who were restored to life, Hebrews 11 and 35. When you go into the Wikipedia of this word resurrection, right, which just means, to re-erect, right, erection, erecting back to life again. Resurrection in the Wikipedia, it says, or anastasis, is the concept of coming back to life after death. Reincarnate. So it's not in particular just only dealing with people, which we've come to find out throughout the scriptures that many men are, mankind is resurrected. But the process is actually called reincarnation. So again, I'm reading from Wikipedia. It says resurrection or anastasis is the concept of coming back to life after death. Reincarnation is a similar process hypothesized by other religions involving the same person or deity returning to another body. And I'm just going to go ahead and screenshot that and use that as the picture for this Abarat for this video. Nonetheless, we are in the time of the reincarnation of a kingdom, right? Now, where do we get this concept from in the scriptures without adding to? We get it from Ecclesiastes, the first chapter. You're dealing with around the 17th verse, or the 7th verse, actually. Let me see, where is it? Is it 17? Might be the second chapter. Let's see. Man. Let me go back again. And this is why we like to just go through the scriptures, man. And you got to be ready and willing to hear. You got to be all right with going through the scriptures with us as we search them out. Because the time is at hand, It's not a thing like we have to continue to hook you over and over and over. You're supposed to already be hooked. This is Revelations 1 and 9. 1 and 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done, it is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. So we know that empires rise and fall, kingdoms rise and fall. But for there to be any new thing under the sun would be contrary of the scriptures. So what happens is through precepts, we understand that societies come back again in the process we know as reincarnation. Societies even come back again. See if I can man, so just bear with me here. This is pulling up something that I ain't got in a minute. See if I can nail it. Yeah, so kingdoms come back and they rise and then they fall. And then they come back again. And the spirit of that kingdom comes back again. You know, the spirit of Egypt comes back again. The spirit of Basra is back on this earth. The spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah. And this is what I was looking for. 2 Ezra 16:1. It says, woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Why is it naming all of these places? Because they're all spiritually summed up into one society that we have today, which is America, which is the United States of America, which is Mystery Babylon in the scriptures, is also spiritually Asia, spiritually Egypt and Syria, spiritually these places. So to send destruction or woe upon them would be to set up the stage for America to be destroyed. It said, gird up yourselves with cloth and sack and hair, which is what women would do when it was time to mourn. There would be like an action behind mourning. It says, bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. And that's a valid reason to bewail. Cry about, or complain, or bewail. The word bewail means express great grief, great regret, disappointment, or bitterness. And to bewail your children. And it says, woe unto thee, Babylon and Asia. So it's treating these kingdoms as if they're going to bewail a child, as if it's personified into a woman bewailing a child. It's treating Egypt, Salaki, and Syria as if it's personified as a woman who bewails her child. What reason would an ended empire, what reason would a kingdom that has already seen its glory and fell, as in Babylon and Egypt, what reason would they have to be personified into a bewailing woman who has lost children? Because spiritually, the daughters or the children of Babylon and Egypt is what you have here present day today, America. America is the daughter of these places. I'll prove that real quick. Let's see here. There's a few things I could go to. Let me see if this works. Let's see here, man. Bear with me. My brother should know where I'm going with this. All right, here we go. All right. This is the book of Isaiah 47, verse 1. It says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. So again, Babylon is a risen and fallen kingdom of antiquity, of old, and from the ancient world. You find relics and ruins of ancient Babylon. It's about 30 to 80 miles south of Baghdad, Iraq. That's where Babylon was. And there's no need for, Babylon to be spoken of as a mother, except she had a daughter somewhere. And how do you understand, right? Without reincarnation, how do you understand the concept of the virgin daughter of Babylon? How do you make sense of that, right? A city, an empire can't have a child, can't have a baby. An empire can't get impregnated. And we all know the land. Anytime a land is referenced, is known as a mother. The scripture says Jerusalem, our nursing mother, the mother of all, Jerusalem. Showing you that that's the homeland or the main land, the choicest land of the world. But Babylon here, I read it again. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. So it's dealing with the virgin daughter of Babylon. So these are cues as to who it's talking about now. Number one, the dust symbolizes the confusion. This place, this virgin daughter of Babylon is going to be sitting in a place of confusion. All right. And then it's a virgin daughter of Babylon. That's dealing with America. Now, this is how. It's virgin because it's an untouched. A virgin is an untouched woman. America has been untouched by foreign countries invading. It's untouched by warfare from invasion. Nations and kingdoms and empire have known invasions, known war. But America hasn't known war by being invaded. It goes out and it sends out nations. So you really test your fire, so to speak, when a country or a nation comes against you and attacks you, and how you withstand and uphold that. America hasn't had that yet. Therefore, they're still likening to virgins. The daughter of Babylon means that it is a product of an exact replica. As there's a scripture that tells you, basically, as the mother, so is the daughter. Let me see if I could grab that real quick. This is, okay, Ezekiel 16:44. Behold, everyone that useth proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter. All right, keep that in mind as we're talking about the virgin daughters. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. So as is the daughter, as is the mother, so is the daughter. When you're dealing with the daughter of Babylon, you're dealing with the replication or the likeness of the mother. If the daughter is of Babylon, then the daughter herself is Babylonian, is likened unto Babylon. And that's all of this is saying, is that this place, America, sitting in this part of confusion, and she's untouched because she's new. She's a young virgin, 250, 400, almost 400 years old. America will be or 400, is it 250 years old? It'll be about 250 from 1776 to 2026. 300 year, was it 350? 250, Salaki. 250 years old, because 1950 would be 200 years. Or 1960 something would be 200 years, 76. And then you had add 50, and that'll be the 26. So we talking about 250 years old, which is supposed to be the on par with the fall of kingdoms. So it's a virgin, untouched, hasn't fell, hasn't been invaded, sitting in the confusion. And it's a daughter of Babylon, which means she is the same likeness, Ezekiel 16:44, the same likeness as her mother, Babylon. So it is America. And when you go into a search of what the word Babylon means, it means confusion by mixing, from the Hebrew word babal. Confusion. So the dust is that confusion. And if a mother was confused, ancient Babylon was confused, or ancient Babylon, this empire that was ruled, right, where we were subject to payments at some point in time. We were enslaved in. You read about that in the book of Daniel, and I believe during the time of Jeremiah as well. There's a few contemporaries of Daniel. But if you're a daughter of her, America is likened unto her, meaning you can worship any philosophy you want, worship any, right? It's God's. What you find out is that a lot of these these American elites are worshiping ancient gods of Babylon, even Molex, and the whatever various gods they had during the time of Babylon. All right. The confusion, man. It says, sit on the ground. That's where the dust is. There's no throne. O daughter of the Chaldees. So now it's also a daughter of the Chaldees. You see how America can be a daughter of so many different things. Its mothers, are many heathen nations and heathen kingdoms before it. You go into certain parts of America, you'll see Egyptian obelisks, Cleopatra's Needle in New York City, straight from Egypt. Washington Monument, 666 feet tall. That's an Egyptian obelisk in the form of an Egyptian obelisk. Obelisk goes back to phallic worship. This is a Egyptian thing. So this is also a daughter of Egypt. We just read that in 2nd Ezra 16. Daughter of the Chaldees now. Now you got to understand who the Chaldees are. Who are the Chaldees? Quick Google definition. It says, refers to the city of Babylon, which is condemned for the pride and magnificence in the biblical book of Isaiah. Daughter of the Chaldees are poetic terms that personify the city of Babylon and emphasize its immense power and splendor before its prophesied fall. So the Chaldees, or the Chaldean Empire, is also known as the Babylonian Empire. Chaldean. It's a symbol of destruction. The prophecy predicts the total devastation and desolation of Babylon, comparing its fate to that of Sodom and Gomorrah. And when Babylon was brought to ruins, the Chaldean Empire, Neo-Babylonian Empire, was brought to ruin. The state of confusion, marked by its darkness, gross darkness shall cover the earth. Lack of knowledge, misinformation, disinformation, the use of pronouns for what used to be two genders, now multi-gendered, multi-species. You have the mixing of genes. The Elder Yeshua just did a news and prophecy on that. How many chimeras, which is like animals that's been created in laboratories, have been made. So it's a lot of sick things going on. You step back, you don't know if it's a man or a woman. There's a lot of sickness going on. But this is a society that's marked by confusion, which lines parallel with the scriptures, showing you that this is a place of confusion in these last days. And that this ancient spirit of Babylon has been risen up in her daughter, which now sits on the ground. It says, for thou shalt no more shall be called tender and delicate. Americans haven't known the tax. They haven't known being bombed as other countries are. You haven't known being set up for destruction. You haven't known it. They've been living in their glory. America has been the idealistic golden city, proverbial golden city, paved golden street, golden paved sidewalks for years in the eyes of these nations and around the world. They've been able to eat off of her, do business with her, get fat, made rich with her, live in her delicacies, Revelations 18. But now is coming the change of the guard. There's a time in which there's a season under everything under the sun. Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. There's a time for war and there's a time for peace. There's a time to plant and there's a time to pluck up that which was planted. Evil was sown. You see, evil was sown. You know, the ancient Roman Empire, a lot of evil was sown. The scriptures refers to this being a modern Roman Empire, right? Washington, D.C., the original land that it was built upon was once called Rome, Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. So many various degrees of similarities between ancient Rome and modern day America on purpose, because this was known as a Rome all over again. When you go into the EEC, which is later known as the EU, it was established in Rome, the Treaty of Rome, if I'm not mistaken, but it was commenced in Rome, 1933, for what I believe. So Rome came back. Is back. The scriptures talk about the deadly wound was healed. Is back. All these empires back again in the daughter, which is America. It goes on, Isaiah 47:2. Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks and make bare the leg, uncover thy thigh and pass over the rivers. It's a complete exposing of the Edomites who run this world through their strong arm, military strong arm, which is America. Their financial hub, which is London. All right, and their what you would call, I guess, romanticized religion, which is the Vatican. You know, Washington, D.C. military, London, England is the financial hub, and the Vatican being their religious hub. You know, this is how Esau runs this world, and it starts with a very capstone at the top, just like a pyramid. On the back of dollar bill at the top is an all-seeing eye, symbolizing that the ones on the very top can see. That's what eyes are. They have the inside knowledge and information on what's actually happening. Ancient, what they didn't know was that this prophecy would go out as fast as it did, concerning the downfall of Esau and who they are as a nation of people, who they've been trying to hide themselves from the world to be through this dust and this kicking up dust and, you know, this state of confusion by mixing, which Rome was a very mixy place. If they would take in conquered nations as its soldiers now, and they were the first peoples to incorporate various nationalities under one legion. Just like America will do. You'll have so-called Chinese Americans fighting China. You'll have Palestinian Americans fighting for America, dominating their homeland, Gaza. This is a Romanesque, all right? It's romanticized America. Pax Romana is a term that means all Rome. At some point in time, Rome controlled the entire world. Known world. Their span of control reached far beyond their actual borders of Rome. Afghanistan was Rome. All right, Egypt was Rome under the Ptolemies. Under the Seleucids, Turkey was Rome. All right. Okay. So I'll leave it at that. I just want to touch on that for a second. Until next time, shalom.